maybe close to the heart for them, I would implore that no recordings are done off the session, just so that we can respect their privacies, and nothing is used off this space on another platform. So I think with that, and knowing that we can officially start. So once again, I welcome you to the May edition of the Real Estate and Infrastructure webinar, hosted by FittedCity, themed unveiling the influence of infrastructure development on real estate evaluation. I would like to introduce our speakers because they deserve that moment. So please, as I introduce our speakers, I would love that I know we cannot clap, of course. So I want to expect you to clap, so you can please just send reactions, love reactions, preferably, so that way they know that they are loved and appreciated for this time. So first, I will be introducing, as one of our speakers, Taiwo Ayekwe. Taiwo Ayekwe is the lead consultant of Taiwo Ayekwe Architects. He is currently an assistant chief architect at the Lagos State Ministry of Works and Infrastructure. He also works in collaboration in all 5 phases of architectural designs and construction, such as schematics, design development, construction information, bidding, contract administration, and construction project management. He also works as the lead consultant at Taiwo Ayekwe Architects, where he provides architectural design and project management consultancy in Nigeria. His research and advocacy experience offers an understanding of housing issues in Nigeria. He has delivered technical papers in various topics in location and in international exhibitions and symposia. So please, I really want to see the taps and the claps in the comment section. That would go a long way while I introduce the next speaker. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Our next speaker is, please give me a second here. Okay, so our next speaker is no other but the I don't know, I would say beautiful because that is what she is. The beautiful Jamila Fani, who is the managing director of M&E Kesa Limited. Please, let's tap. Thank you. I'm trying to draw up a bio. Please just permit the slight clumsiness. It's just so that we have everything in place. Okay, I'm good now. So Jamila Fani, please, Taiwo, can you please come on? I mean, we'd like to see your face after the introduction, if that's fine. Thank you very much. Jamila Fani holds a bachelor degree in building from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. She also has a master's degree in construction management from the University of Lagos, with lots of trainings, both locally and internationally, including Harvard Business School, Boston, and Lagos Business School. She began her career in construction as a planning engineer in construction, Kesa Limited, and now has over 18 years experience in civil and MEPF construction planning, procurement, logistics, and general project management on both operations and management levels. She's a BIM enthusiast and a chain leader. With her wealth of experience and sense of responsibility, she's currently an executive director in Construction Kesa and the managing director M&E Kesa Limited. So please, let's welcome Jamila Fani to the floor. Please, let's tap. Yes, let's see the love signs. Let's just show them some love. So Jamila, please, if you're here, or Jamila, so I stand to be corrected. It is not Jamila, it is Jamila. So I was corrected about that, and I would gladly put that to use. So Jamila, please, you can put on your camera now. Thank you very much. And lastly, our host for today, Soji Ben, who is the MD and CEO of FittedCity Limited, is the founder and CEO of FittedCity Limited that has emerged as a pioneering figure in driving sustainable infrastructure development across Africa, with a profound focus on business development and investment in infrastructure, real estate, and environment. Sojiben has positioned himself as a thought leader in the field, offering innovative solutions and strategic insights. FittedCity Limited, under Sojiben's leadership, has established itself as a dynamic and pragmatic infrastructure consulting firm, and also provides various services, including advisory, investment, and management services for infrastructure, real estate, and environmental projects in Nigeria and across Africa. So please, let's also welcome Sojiben. Thank you very much for having us. Thank you for hosting us today. Yeah, so we're just going to start without much ado. Yes, thank you very much. Do you want to say something, Mr. Sojiben? Do you want to say something as the host? Just welcome everybody afresh. You're good. Okay, thank you so much. So we have our speakers today, Taiwo Ayekwe, Jamila Fani, and Sojiben. So we're going to be starting immediately, but I need to be sure that we have everybody. Okay, we do. So good. Thank you very much. So without much ado, I think I would like to kick off this session with Sojiben. You're our host for today, so it is okay that you lay the foundation of this amazing and insightful conversation. So I have my first question for you. I believe that in the room today, we have people that have not in any way heard anything about real estate. They hear infrastructure, maybe, schools, they teach us about infrastructures, we hear it in the news, and we have people equally here that they know about it. Maybe they just need more information. So it would be nice that we usher this conversation in by having a better understanding of what infrastructures are, what is real estate, and then also what is the relationship between these two. So I think that's a good way to start.
Thank you very much for today. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Taiwo. Good morning, Jamila, everyone in the house. Motunde, thank you very much for helping us out with this. Yeah, okay. My name is Sojiben, like she has rightly said. I will just quickly give a summary of what we can talk about, the difference between, or the comparison between real estate and infrastructure, because it's a whole lot of discussion. Okay, so I'll start with what everybody is familiar with, which is real estate. Real estate could be termed as housing or shelter or whichever. We know that shelter is a physical structure where we live, but real estate is beyond the physical structure where we live. It comprises of the land as well. So it's something real, something that is tangible, that is physical, where we can express ourselves, where we can see as an habitant for humans. You get like human settlement kind of a thing you get. So it's there you create a shelter on it. Why housing itself, it's comprises of the shelter and the infrastructure, things that makes it to be able to be habitable. That is what housing is. So those are the few things that comprises of real estate. Then the infrastructure itself is now from the word infrastructure. Infrastructure means enabler, things that enables you to do what you need to do to achieve what you want to achieve. That is what infrastructure is. So let's say road is one of infrastructure. There are physical infrastructures that can take you from a point A to point B. Say you live in a particular location and you work at another location. So for you to move from this location to another location, so whatever brings you from point A to point B is infrastructure itself. You get, so it's either you go through by road, by air, through water, you get, and then that's where we have airports that have been declared as infrastructure, transportation is infrastructure, and the rest. So beyond that, that's a physical movement, but we have things that we do as well, probably like communication is also, because I can try to move from A to B to see Mr. B, and then I can try to call Mr. B on phone. That is also infrastructure. So you don't need to travel in person, but your voice can travel through technology. So technology is as well infrastructure, and that's what we call digital infrastructure. You get, so it enables, it makes it's like destructive, it's destruction. So it makes things better. What you have done traditionally, technology helps us to do it better. So it's still it's infrastructure. So we call it digital infrastructure. You get, that's where we have the telcos, the broadband, data centers, the towers, and the rest. So those are still infrastructure. Then your power. Power is infrastructure, lightning. So we have band A, band B, whatever it is. So where you find yourself, that is infrastructure. Your power is infrastructure. Energy is infrastructure. And then we have another kind of infrastructure, which we call social infrastructure, which is what we call them essential services when we are talking in business or as humans. We are discussing things like our healthcare system, primary care systems, tertiary and secondary systems, healthcare. We have education, our schools, their infrastructure that you get. So that's why you see people leave Nigeria to UK to study because they're looking for infrastructure. It's an enabler. So it's social infrastructure, judiciary system. So it's social infrastructure. And then we have sports and recreation. These are social infrastructure. If you look at some what we call rural settlements and urban settlements, what separates them is just infrastructure. So if you go to the cities, you see good roads, you see skyscrapers, you see a lot of things and you like. And if you take the picture of Dubai or Singapore, it's just the infrastructure that you see. That's what you appreciate. Yeah, Dubai is building the largest, the tallest building in the world. That's infrastructure. Museums, those are social infrastructure. You get so those are the enablers. So, and the reason why we are doing this is to be able to bring it together. So when people think of real estate or investing in real or alternative investments as the assets managers we say, classes of investment. So it's not just real estate, buying land and building houses. There's more to it. You can go into telco, you can go into this. I'm sure we have a lot of investors in the house and real estate developers. You can go into institution housing, which is hostels. You get those are infrastructure that you can expand yourself into. So those are the different things you get that you have. But by the way, real estate itself, it's part of infrastructure. You get it's relatable. You get so real estate is part of the infrastructure. The housing of the real estate infrastructure, everything is real. You get so this part of the infrastructure, but they are all classified under what we call alternative investment under investment classes. You get so those are the areas where we are. Then one more thing I would like to add is the eco infra. The eco infra is where we have decarbonization, the climate projects, things that are helping us to reduce to come to net zero, to reduce the carbon emissions that we have on the earth currently. So that is where we have renewables, renewable energy, where we have a farm of what's it called now? Solar powers, solar panels, and all those things. So that is the direction at which we are going now to be able to reduce the carbon emissions that we have currently in the air, and that is really hurting us as a world at large itself. So I think I've been able to do a little bit of. I'm trying to put everything together.
Yes,
so that
done an amazing job with that.
yeah,
I think that was very introductory. Thank you for that. But just from what you have said, if I understand, because I'm also going to relate as though I'm learning. So as a third party layman, just from what you have said, I mean, real estate is an entity on its own, as much as infrastructure is, but they work together to make it a whole conversation. That's what you mean. So real estate can be on its own, but without the right infrastructures, involved in this, it's not what it should be. That's what you're saying. Thank you for that. I want to ask you, Mr. Soji, before I go on to the next question, and this is me, because you had mentioned something about traditional infrastructures. I believe that the way things now, a lot of things have evolved. The digital evolution, people are more aware of what they need to do and what should be. But I want to just briefly, quickly, what was it like before? So if you had to do a quick comparison of what real estate and infrastructural development was before and now, what's that major difference, or what has happened along, over time?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So I will the traditional, there's what we call revolution of the industry, where we have an industrial revolution where people start having warehousing, the way we work as a pattern. We go to office or we go to the farm or we go to the factory to work. And then with the advent of technology, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, machine learning, we realize that all the work for what we are doing now, traditionally is that we will have all assembled ourselves in a brick and mortar structure where we'll be discussing. Technology has come into place. It's helps us to be able to stay anywhere in the world and then run this meeting together. You get this is a new infrastructure model that you get, which is embracement of technology, and then the traditional is when before we have the technology. That's what we get as traditional, where we have to do everything manually. We have to see ourselves. We have to, and then cities in architecture. Let me chip in a little bit. I'm sure Taiwo will flow with me with this. In architecture, there's something we call advanced architecture. There's a course in Spain where we have smart cities, where we are developing smart cities. And with that, you use Internet of Things, artificial intelligence to be able to help data collection to an extent, and then manage to help governments or governance itself to make proper decisions to guide policies and everything. So you get so many things are happening in the world where things are changing. We are working from home now. We can travel anywhere in the world to anywhere, and then we can communicate ourselves through technology. So the difference is just without technology and then with technology. And the technology itself is advancing every day you get here. So that's the difference.
Thank you very much, because we need to understand that where we're at now and what it was before for us to know, how progressive the conversation will go. Please, just to mention to the people in the room, you can drop your questions while the conversation is going on so that we can probably chip in these questions once in a while. So it just makes it, but thank you very much for complying. So my next question will go to Jamila. I hope I pronounced that well this time around. I did. Okay.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. So now understanding what infrastructure is, understanding what real estate is, and also having a quick insight to what it used to be and what it is now. Talking about modern day, like things happening, things that have been modernized, services. I believe infrastructure has certain services that also enhances it. So the modern services, from my own understanding, would be water, electricity. If you are building a house, it has to have lights, it has to have water. These are the basics. So I want to know, these services, as is electricity, water, internet, and the likes of it. What crucial role do these elements play in making a building or an estate more valuable? So I want to buy a house. I want to go into real estate. I want to see the value, but I want to know how these elements play a crucial role. So can you please shed more light on this?
Thank you. Thank you so much. And good morning, not only to you, but also to our esteemed audience. And of course, I cannot even start this conversation without saying a mighty good morning to my boss, my friend, and my client, that is architect Taiwo Ayekwe. Taiwo knows that I'm going to call him out on this call. So hi, Taiwo, and everyone. Hi, Soji. Thank you so much for this platform. I think that we have to continue to have these conversations for us to understand better what all of these things are about. Now, today I'm going to ask you a question, a very simple question. No matter how beautiful a house is, and you enter that house, and you enter the kitchen, you have an apple in your hand. You want to just have a very quick bite of the apple, and you open the tap, you turn the tap on, and there's no water. Just tell me how you feel.
I'll feel very sad.
Thank you very much. So while the aesthetics, the stability, of a building is very, very important, I also think that the blood, that thing that makes the building function or the estate function is the most important, because comfort is what everyone is looking for wherever they are, be it in your building, be it in your estate, be it in your community. And when you come out of your house, while you're in your house, you want to feel comfortable, you want the temperature to be right, you want there to be power so that you can connect to your stuff, you want there to be Wi-Fi. These days, sometimes when you want to bring your nephews to your house, they will ask you, "Auntie, is there Wi-Fi in that house?" That is the kind of the kind of society that we have now. These young kids, they are growing up to know that things that they like to do, things that they like that they do that make them happy is what they want. So if there's no Wi-Fi in the house, then I'd rather say my daddy's house than come to your house where there's no Wi-Fi. Not only in the house, when you step out of your house and you enter the community, you want to be somewhere where the environment is nice and serene, where you can feel happy just being there. You want to see a park, you want to see children playing, you want to see security. You want to know that, oh, there's greenery here and there's enough water, there's enough infrastructure to ensure that the irrigation of that greenery is constant so that it can be maintained. All of these things add to what we call the quality of life. Now, quality of life is something that sometimes we can put a cost to, sometimes we take for granted, and most times we actually take for granted. But cost can be put to these things. Now, in real estate, when anyone sets out to develop a location, right, be it an estate, a large parcel of land, turn into an estate, or a large community, even if it's a new township or whatever, the very, very basic things that need to be there, just like Soji said, you have to have power. You have to have water. Not only water, when we're talking about water, we're talking about two things. We're talking about supply of the water, taking the water into that community, and taking out the water, which is wastewater, or what we call sewage. And this sewage is now, there's just so many ways that we can handle them right now. So, taking it out, there are different methods depending on the volume, depending on the capacity, depending on how sophisticated that location is. We have, just like we talked about now, we have internet. Right now, there are so many companies that are offering fiber optics to spaces and ensuring that people are able to have their internet, on the go, just like how, we all like to be. So adding value to this kind of location is for me it's not rocket science at all. If you have a parcel of land that you have developed, you have put all the infrastructure in, when you invite investors to come in, they would quickly know that the people that are invested in this location are people that are serious, are people that have a plan in mind. They already have the end in sight. And I'll give a very quick example because Soji asked us to make use of case studies. And one of such, and I hope that it's okay to mention, is Twin Lake Estates. If you go into Twin Lake Estates, which is just directly opposite Chevron roundabout, when you enter Twin Lake Estates, you know that you are in a place that has been thoroughly thought through. The roads are in place, the water supply is in place, the wastewater is in place, the power is in place, just like my power has just been restored. CCTV, I'm talking about security, is in place. So just mention whatever kind of communal infrastructure that is required. All those are in place. The only thing that is required as a subscriber when you buy your parcel of land is just come, bring your contractor, build your house, and connect to everything. Everything that you have can be connected to. Everything that you need can be connected to. So the only thing that you're worrying yourself about is just your own house. You're not worrying about generator because there's a communal generator that is connected to everybody just in case the alternative source of power is not able to work. Now, does this cost money? Yes, it does. But at the end of the day, when we look at the opposite, that is not having such infrastructure in place, will it cost money? Yes, it will. For example, if you go into a space that has no infrastructure at all, the very first person to go and develop their house or their property in that area usually are the ones that are left with the burden of putting the road that will lead to the front of their own compound. They don't care about any other place. They are burdened with buying the poles so that they can connect power and take it to their house. When others come, they will connect, and when the load is too much, it will blow. Then eventually somebody will think about bringing a transformer, and then they will now start, the argument will start. And all of that is not necessary. Not that it's not necessary. I'm going to, that's just it. It's not necessary. When we have all of these things in place, the value of that location greatly improves. And I'll say that the biggest consideration to all of these things is planning. is planning. The moment you know that there is a need for this planning to be put in place, and your subscribers are serious people that will appreciate that kind of planning, because there is a monetary value that has to be attached to it, which most likely will be added to either facilities, your payment, your service charge, or it will be added to the cost of the land or something. I mean, there are different ways that people can improve their quality of life. And some of these things that I'm talking about is not, there's no gainsaying about it. It's something that we see every day. So when you go to get a parcel of land, no matter where it is, no matter the location, it could be at Ajangbadi, it could be at Ekwe, as long as you do not see any sign of such planning, it most likely will come, really, really cheap. But just know that that cost that you are running away from at the beginning, as we say within my space here, it go dey wait for you for front. It go dey there for front to wait for you. So there's no, it's not. I mean, I don't want to call it penny wise pound foolish, but definitely a communal planning where everybody is taken into consideration, every plot of land is taken into consideration, everything is, thought through, is much better than where, you go and everyone is just doing the little bit that will take care of their own front yard or their own backyard, and that is it. When we have an integrated planning, it is mind-blowing. It is just so beautiful that you cannot even begin to put naira and kobo to it. Thank you. I don't know if this has answered your question.
Yes, it
but
has,
yes, I mean, I could go on and on and on, but I know that we have very limited time, and so I'm going to allow the rest of my colleagues to speak. Thank you.
Touched it so well, and because I'm also in a space where value is strongly talked about, for everything you buy, everything you do, there's value. It's just that you quantify differently. So in this case, I love that you asked me that question, because I won't go to a house. I want to rent the house. This is even me as someone who is low below the chain. I want to get a house, and I'm asking, is there water? What is it accessible from the road? My car, I hope it will not do be inside pothole. So thanks for touching on the value that a person will get, because once you pay for a house, pay for anything, what you can only get back in value are these services, excellently put together. So I want to ask Taiwo now, because she has talked about the value. I would also like to know how this can be sustained, because it's one thing to start it and put it there. You get to the house, there's water, there's light, there's electricity, the internet is great. But how is this sustained in a way that years after, the story can still be the same?
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Soji. Thanks for the opportunity. Good morning, Motunde. You've done a good job so far. So good morning, Jamila. I'll leave it at that.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for this opportunity. I think that, things like this are really never well spelled. It's coming at a fantastic time where we all identify, or we all highlight the need for increased collaboration. We really need to be able to let people know what's to be done, so that it can be done right. There's no point being a built industry professional. I like to use the word built industry as against real estate. There's no point being a built industry professional, right? And not doing things right. We are typically in this system to serve people. And if we are serving people, if we are not serving people, why are we there? Right. Yeah. So to piggyback off what Jamila has just said, in 2014, I'm an architect. So this is just an introductory term. I worked in an architecture firm called ECAD Architects. Luckily, I worked on the Twin Lakes project, yes. I did a design competition in 2014, and luckily, I was one of the winners. Now, the reason why I'm giving that critical insight is to make you know that at that time, the requirements were very, very strict. It was a very stringent process where the clients knew what they wanted, and they were not going to get anything less than that. So we had to work hard to get what the client, to give what the client wanted. I'm very happy that I was a part of that process. I did not know that we are going to be here today. Neither did I know that Jamila was going to give that perspective, you know. So yes, I did one of the buildings there, and I'm hoping that it's standing. So so how do developers you know, work with architects to achieve these things? So like I've said, it's very important for people to collaborate. You see, this built industry is operated like a teamwork. You need to get the right people on board, and you need to do it right. Nothing ever works on its own. And then there is the increased need for planning. Planning is never too much. It's never too much. I've just joined a project with Julius Berger on the renovation, and I keep pushing them to tell me when they want to start construction, and they keep pushing me because they are still planning. But you are aware, right? When Julius Berger hits the ground, they hit the ground running. This is just to contextualize, you see, the importance of planning, you know. So these are the issues, right? If we don't plan well, right? If we don't, you know, pay attention to the little details, we are still going to wait for you for front. You know, so that's that. So I then would like to go back to, you know, basic parameters or things that we're supposed to operate with. There's the sustainable development goals, right? And the 11th one speaks to housing. And I'm going to just go through a note here where it says that the SDG is to ensure access for all to adequate, safe, affordable housing and basic services and upgrade slums. So it typically tells us that, you see, there's something we should do, right? And then it should then be done right? We're supposed to create safe housing, and then we lean on all of the explanations that Motunde and Jamila had just talked about, so that these houses are comfortable for you. And then we are supposed to be able to upgrade these slums. They are slums, they are in existence. We should be able to make them better, because you can't do anything, you can't obliterate them. Do you understand? These are things that really cannot be cut out, right? So they are supposed to be able to, make them to be able to catch up with what you are doing, right? So we're supposed to be able to upgrade slums. So this is goal 11. So yeah, so that's, I hope that, Omotunde, I'm hoping that I'm, you know, making it make sense.
Yes, you are.
Good. So, so there's now the need for, you know, affordable housing, right? There's the need for us to now be able to, you see, rely on, you know, sustainable and affordable housing. It's a very simple term, but it's equally a very bloated term, especially when you then marry it against the economies of things and how the economy of the country is right now. Right. So it's a very difficult thing. You know, if you work it down to the smaller, to the minute details, right, the contractor will tell you that things are really costly. They are truly costly, right? So I'm not sure that affordable housing, you know, can simply be achievable, but you have to really think through it, you know. So there are alternative ways around building things. There are alternative ideas. There are alternative ways that we can then begin to make things make sense. You know, people then begin to compare or talk about prefab homes. You know, we then have tiny homes, right? I'm not sure how that can work in this part of the world, right? But I mean, in Europe and America, people are doing it, you know. And then most importantly, we have shipping architecture, or we use cargo texture, or however it may be, you know, it may be coined, you know. It's already been built. People already have started doing that in this part of the world. There's a critical example in the University of Lagos called Madhouse. It was built by Bayo Moboriowo and my very senior colleague, architect Adeyemo Shokubi with Patrick, why he design consultancy. So these are ways with which, one can begin to have a renewed thinking around things. Renewed thinking, So how do architects then carry out these things? Like I started, there's supposed to be a lot of education and enlightenment. Okay, we are supposed to tell people. That's why we are trained to be built industry professionals. We are supposed to let them know what we can do, right? So that they can then ask us to do for them what they want, right? So it's like we're going to have to pay back, right? Let them know, right? There's a need for education. There's an increased need for enlightenment, which is why I'm happy that we are having this program, right? Increase enlightenment and increase collaboration. It's never well spelled, right? A few weeks ago, the Nigeria Institute of Architects Lagos State chapter held their Lagos Architects Fair, where I participated actively as a chairman of Speak Amon. What I'm driving at here is, as one of the events in that program, the institute carried out a public walk on May 1st, on May Day, right? Where we were asking people, who is your architect? We had the band, and then we had people, we got on the streets, and we're engaging. We were sharing pamphlets, we were sharing banners. We were trying to engage the public on the need, right? To ask them who your architect is. It's supposed to be a kickback situation where, you see, we are trying to spoil your mind to be able to use architects. When I was in school, somebody shared a valuable insight with me where they said that in the world, only about 3 or 5% of buildings are designed by designers. I schooled in North Cyprus and Istanbul, so I sort of relied on that data, and it never left my head since that time, right? We're back in Lagos now. We see, right, that a lot of buildings are not designed by designers, not just architects, right, but architects and engineers. Now, not just architects and engineers, structural engineers, services engineers, and the rest, right? So a lot of people do not use us. Okay, so, well, Twin Lake is a fantastic example, but how many Twin Lakes do we have in Lagos? Do you understand? It's a fantastic example. I did not know that Jamila was going to talk about that example. Neither did I know that I was going to talk about this example today in 2014. But how many Twin Lakes do we have? How many estates do we have in Lagos? And how many of them were done right? Right? You can only do an estate to have proper infrastructure, right? If you get proper infrastructure, you're only going to have to use the right people. Do you get? I will not mention names, but I've been to a lot of popular housing estates, especially the ones that starts with A and D. And I get appalled, right, by how these things are done. It's important that we begin to call ourselves out. To call a spade a spade. It's sad, right? But it is what it is. It is what it is, right? So we really need to be able to start doing things right. And yeah, so again, these things are equally a bit difficult. So we as built industry professionals are supposed to help to make it attainable. So we are supposed to increase attainability. So how do we do that? By simplifying it for people. My father, who is a civil engineer, will tell me, right, well, he's retired now, and he will tell me that you architects are always too expensive. And I reckon, right, that a lot of people cannot afford to pay architects' fees. But in the business of things, these things should be aggregatable, right? Because everybody deserves a consultant. Everybody deserves an engineer. Everybody deserves an architect, right? So, in making it attainable, I have to be able to fit into your pocket. Because, you see, architecture is seen as unattainable. We have to be able to aggregate it appropriately. One of the business skills that one will learn as a built industry professional is to be able to gauge your intending client so as to know what he can afford and apply it appropriately. Then lastly, right, we should then be able to incentivize these things. Okay, in this part of the world, it just may still be difficult for us to, begin to apply all of the green green building initiatives, but they are achievable. Okay, they are achievable. It's a very simple thing. Just have enough openings, allow for lighting, allow for ventilation, and then the little bits, once the little bits are attained, the big problems are solved, right? Once you can allow for lighting, allow for ventilation, allow for shading, allow for green, then it then begins to make, we see that when we begin to apply or achieve these 3 or 4 things, we are getting closer to achieving green buildings. So we then are supposed to be able to incentivize these things for people. I did a proposal for a client about a year ago, and I wanted the green roof. I tried to simplify that green roof initiative for that project or the proposal, and the client declined it because he didn't see the need for the green roof. However, he wanted to convert that to a study. I had to lean on that requirement to understand what he wanted and then work around it. But I took out the green roof. So we see the issues that we face, right? You are supposed to be able to advise the end users on what they want to do and how they should do it. But lastly, you always remember you are spending their money. Do you get? So he who pays the piper dictates the tune.
Thank you.
So again, you see why it's important for us to be able to piggyback off each other.
No, please go ahead. I think there was a pause, so I thought
thank you very much. I hope I've been able to.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, so it was just some internet connection issues. So that was my last point, actually. I was just trying to make us understand that it's important for us to be able to simplify things for ourselves, right? And ensure proper understanding.
Thank you so much, Taiwo. I think that was properly broken down, and also it's, it supplemented what Jamila had said initially. Planning, understanding what the client, but I like the last one, they are spending their money. So if they want the moon in their house, I think it is how can we make it half of the moon and not the whole moon, So thank you for breaking it down like that. We'll still finally go into policies, because for every structure, there are policies, for it to stand right, there are policies. So we'll come into policies. I'll come back to you. And also property value, what we've talked about, what makes the services valuable, but then what makes the property itself valuable. So I would come back to that. But I want to throw a question to Soji Ben quickly. We've talked about, for everything we've said today, we've touched heavily on how things are happening in the now. There's AI, there's the awareness, everybody is woke. Let me use that word. We're all woke in our thinking, in our industries. So that would also introduce the very presence of trends. Even we that were in the digital space, media space, there are a lot of trends on TikTok now, and every millennials are trying to act like they're Gen Zs just so that they can fit properly into that space. But I will believe that in your industry, there are also trends that will likely, affect in any way possible. So my question then would be that how can we, what are these trends, first of all? And, after establishing what the trends are, what impact do these trends have in the real estate market?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Taiwo, for that awesome clarification. And then thank you, Jamila. Okay, so the trends, I will start from discussing about the kind of infrastructure that we call commercial infrastructure. It's where we have office settings. And if you notice, the first trend under commercial infrastructure is that technology is now taking the place of human. The human intervention is reducing gradually. You get started, I think, about 15 years ago or thereabout. Let me talk about the banking industry now, where we have the introduction of the ATMs. Things are changing. The staffing capacity of the bank starts reducing because there's now online banking and then there's ATM. So we used to have a lot of queue in the bank before, and in the banks and everything, banking hall rather. Now we are, can do it. I can't remember the last time I went to bank for something except it's very, very important. You can even make a phone call and then to be clarified. Formally, we have to all go to the bank. And then a lot of that is happening in other industries as well, even in the built environment, the built environment itself. So things are changing. We used to use drawing board as an architect. That's moved into systems now. The AI is not even taking place to an extent. The human intervention is reducing drastically and seriously. And even in investment, you talk to your broker, he advises you on what to do. Now you can go online. AI or Google will advise you watch some videos, and you get YouTube advice to an extent. So it reduces how we are running to consultants to an extent, and that is why the consultant has to come up and say, we are here. Nothing represents us. And that's where thought leadership is very important. So when we know that this is a trend, information is taking the lead and technology is taking the lead. So human intervention is very reduced when it comes to productivity. So that's a trend. That is a major trend that we have, and it's drastically happening. So it's now happening in different definition in different industry. Like you get so, but some things are basic. And the other trend that we have when it comes to closed infrastructure, that is things that are close to you, type of product sharing, is now the smart home system, where ultimately call it integration, smart technology integration in residential or commercial facilities, whereby you don't need to open the door will open by itself at your coming, at your leaving a particular closed space. The light will go off because there's a sensor, which is Internet of Things. You notice that someone has left the particular room and goes off. So this is also coming in. And then notice that we have a lot of rentals in the house and everything. What also helps us to market well as rentals that we have in the house is because you can also, if you have your house being automated with technology, which we call the smart homes, it increases the value of the property you get. So these are also trends. Then the other trend when it comes to green infrastructure or eco infrastructure, the way we want to call it, is recycling, where we have people using waste. It's already on the island, and I think it's coming out gradually. The waste, the waste in the house we use to convert it into electricity. We already have solar panels, but people are making additional steps to convert waste into conversion of waste management into power. Converting waste into power. That is also a trend also coming up, which is also infrastructure. So there are other hydrogen is coming in. A lot of things are coming in. And then we shouldn't forget the 5G when it comes to telco. The 5G has come to stay, and we just need to embrace it. And then we need to make use of this in the best way that we can, as investors, as real estate developers, and as investors as well. So those are the few trends, but the most important thing is that human intervention is gradually reducing when it comes to productivity. And that's a trend that is cutting across all kinds of developments.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Soji. I say Mr. Soji, I'll go on. Thank you, Soji Ben. Yeah, please just pardon that. But quickly, I mean, just in 1 minute, so I can go to the next question and then my last question. Talking about trends, so I would do a quick comparison. Okay, my industry, they would advise you to jump on trends because that's the best way you can get traction. That's the best way you can get engagement. So it's advisable, But there are also industries that I know that they'll tell you, no, don't jump on trends. Sit back and assess. Is it what you want? So I want to know, based on real estate, infrastructure, architectural, everything, do you think these trends, as beautiful as they sound, because I want to walk into a house where it's smart. I don't want to stress. I want it. But this is from the receiving angle of things. We enjoy the benefits of the result. But for architects, you guys you're at the root of it, and real estate people and all of that. Would you say that trends are things that should be jumped on? Like, should you try the trend? Is that what causes, or is that what measures your growth or increase or return for you in any way?
Yeah, you should jump on trends with your eyes open, knowing that so that you don't jump inside the gutter. So you need to open your eyes. And what I mean by opening your eyes, meaning you need to get the right team to execute the project. that is bringing out the new trend you get. So you have to have the right architect, have the right engineers, and just basically the right project manager will connect, will bring in the right guys you get, so that you can have exactly what you need. So that the product that you are having, those smart homes and everything, there's a backbone activity going on somewhere that we don't see, which is the fiber optics and everything. And then we have the front end, which is the product of the infrastructure, which is the product that we are seeing. You get those things, those products have manufacturers, different manufacturers. Cisco produces Internet of Things products, which is AI products. And then we have other product, Samsung has their own product, Apple has their product. So you need to, which one should I use and which one will work for my location, and what do I need, and what is affordable, what can I afford? What can I put into this facility that people that are supposed to be the prospect buyers on this property can afford? You get, so you have to do the classification of type of costing, you have to do kind of quality, you get, and then durability. Sustainability is very key. You get, that is trend. I won't jump on a trend that I know that will not last me time. That will not last. You get, so you need to be sure of what you are. Probably what the product you are trying to buy is still undergoing beta testing, and then because it's also, you just going to install it in your house, and then you are selling that property at a high price before the occupant moves in. The thing has packed up. You get, so spoils your brand, and the people not having feeling like anything like trend, I don't want it. And once people are beaten once, they are twice shy. In fact, million times twice shy. They will just be deaf to that kind of technology. That I can't use that. But we have products in Nigeria or all over the world that people cannot use because the trend. They say I never experience, I can never use that particular product. It's because probably the person that introduced them did not go through the right channel, or involve the right team or expertise to execute the project. So that's why we have people here speaking. Execution is very, very key. And then who is executing it to get? So those are the key things that should matter when it comes to trends. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Well explained. So I have one last question for Jamila, and then Ms. Taiwo. Taiwo would help to wrap up. But I'm very big on the Mr. and the Mrs., so permit me. So Jamila, I want to know, I mean, we've talked about infrastructure development, but I want us to touch quickly on property value. You know, how does this, or how can this affect property value? Setting up infrastructures like roads, like buildings, how can this affect property value?
There's no gainsaying about this question. A very well planned and built society environment would definitely have a better value than one that isn't. It is just natural. People gravitate to what is good, especially when someone else does it. So yes, I'll say that there's no I mean, one of the biggest things about a well-planned environment is that it naturally attracts commerce. So when a place is well done, businesses go there, people want to live there, and then the economy in that location thrives. So of course, it thrives because there's a population. There's population, whether the population be controlled or not. There's economy. There's a whole thriving economy in such locations. So that place becomes more marketable. You see that most times when real estate developers are advertising their locations, they'll tell you, oh, it is 15 minutes from the airport, even though we know in Lagos 15 minutes is it. It doesn't happen. You know, it's 15 minutes from the airport, or it is, 20 minutes from the free trade zone or something. So they are looking for well-developed areas so that they can bank their own development to those locations in order to make it more marketable. So that means that it just tells the investor, the buyer, that, oh, for this place to be close to this area, that means I can have access to market, I can have access to school, I can have access to this. All those things are added to the value. They are value adding property factors. When you have your occupants having a better experience in such locations, you find out that they don't mind paying they don't mind paying more, especially if they are getting a service that they believe they have paid for. So when again, this comes back to planning anyway. When I believe that I'm paying a quote unquote, maybe a service charge or something, and I know that when I need water, the water is available. When I need power, power is available. There's no clogging in, along my water line. There's everything that I require is in place. I have peace of mind. We do not mind paying. In fact, right now, where we have different kinds of bands, people are asking, when it comes to power distribution, people are asking, am I sure I am in the band that I'm supposed to be? Because I'm paying such, so much, and I'm not getting the service for it. So people become disgruntled naturally when they are paying for a service that they are not getting. Modern structural buildings are better suited for future demands. You see that there's a whole lot of flexibility in this kind of buildings, in this kind of environment, in this kind of estates, where they are already thinking of the future and making these buildings future ready, so that when new trends come in, they are able to just plug into the buildings or to the structures, and they are on the move. And right now, you see that in 5 years ago, when we're buying our sockets and switches, we're just buying the normal 13 amps or the normal 20 amp sockets and switches. But now we have USB sockets as well. So you have your USB socket, you're connecting your USB directly without having to use a plug. So those are the kind of things that we're talking about when it comes to flexibility in such buildings. But one thing that I want to really throw light on, and that I'm very big about, is sustainability as well. And I think that Soji and even Taiwo talked about it. We cannot overemphasize the importance of sustainability elements in our, in our development. Making sure that we're able to manage water, making sure we're able to manage power or energy, let me say, making sure that the embedded energy in production was optimized is so important, because that makes these buildings much more not only responding to our own needs, but also responding to our environment. We are depleting our environment every blessed day that we live on this earth. So for as much as we're able to enjoy it, we should also be kind to the environment. And recycling is one of the things. When we recycle our rainwater, there are different kinds of rainwater harvesting systems that can be used to collect rainwater and take it back into the building, rather than drilling water to pull out of the ground, which is causing different kinds of problems to the soil strata. There's also, we talked about solar. 5-10 years ago, when someone tells you about solar, you're like, you don't know what you're talking about. But that was a trend, at that time. Right now, everybody is running to go and get solar panels, because when they send them Band A bill, they'll be like, I did not use that power. So yeah, these are the kind of things that I think we should continue to explore, continue to I won't say jump on, but definitely most of these trends are very important, and these are usually results of years and years and years of R&D. So there's a whole lot of research and development that has gone into this thing before anyone can even bring it to the market. So just give some of these things the benefit of doubt and give it a try, because I can tell you at the end of the day, you'll be better off for it. Another one that we also overlook is the sewage. There's a whole lot that can come out of that waste. There are people that are converting the gas that is butane is actually produced from buildup of the waste that comes out of it, and people are using it for domestic use right now, in their homes. So effluent water can also be reused, can be treated and put back into the environment and all. So let us continue to look at how all of these sustainability factors can help in improving the value of not only the infrastructure itself, but also of our lives. So there's a whole lot of factors that ensure that the value of this infrastructure is improved. And like I said, people do not mind paying for what service they know they are going to get.
Thank you so much. Well explained. So the last question will be for Taiwo. and this is, I mean, this touches on policies. So there's a message here in the group that's from Ajikobi Alex. It says trends might be sustainable if certain things are not put into consideration. Even government policy alone can make sure trends are not sustainable. As much as that is not the core question, but it still touches on a certain type of policy that can be put into place. So my question to you would then be, first of all, whatever you can say about the policies that can be put in place just to educate us. I think that's one. And also, what are the implications that are at play when it comes to infrastructure development? Yeah, I think once we know that, we have a better understanding. So you can first tell us about the policies and then the implications at play. That'll be good.
Okay, thank you. So first, we have to try to simplify things, right? When we consider, policy implications on infrastructure development, we have to understand that this is supposed to attract some kind of value for our property. It's supposed to be able to increase the quality of life, support economies, right, and attract businesses and residences, and enhance some kind of physical mobility for people and products. These are basically the things that enhance, these are the things that policy, does, as regards to infrastructure development. So one of the simplest examples that we can use, right, is the new trend that the state government has, strived to achieve, the red line. And then I want to tie it to agriculture so that it can help to contextualize the discussion. Now, the red line connects from Agbado, somewhere far end in Lagos. It connects from Agbado through Mushin to Oyingbo. So it connects a lot of hubs in Lagos. And in 2021, April 2021, they came up with some kind of agricultural roadmap where they intended to boost productivity and food sufficiency. So the government, the Ministry of Agriculture, first, I think we need to first start to learn to trust the government and then maybe give them some bandwidth to be able to work. So they then, opened up some kinds of hubs in certain parts of the states. They opened up one in Mushin. So this hub has a fresh food market where food is from every part of the state brought to that hub. It's then, through some kind of retail mechanism, it's then spread to people to buy and all. So what I'm just driving at is, with that mechanism or the hub in place, right, the red line, right, which we can agree is an infrastructure, supports, that flow, right, from people who bring their produce to come and sell to people who are buying and selling and stuff. So that infrastructure sort of supports that. And so we can see the interrelation between that type of infrastructure and food sufficiency, which the government is trying to achieve. Sometime at the end of last year, I drove past that particular market. I'm told that there are 5 more that are in place, that are being built or been built. I stand to be corrected, but I can check. Now, the road that takes you to that market I'm talking about is not exactly very good. So it took us a bit of time on a Saturday, right? I was stuck in the traffic for about a month, for about an hour or two before I could. So what I'm driving at is, if there are policy in place to allow for proper road maintenance on that axis, right, it will enhance that policy that the government has put in place, right? So you see the link between policy implication and infrastructure development. So I just sort of intended to use the example, agric, right, and maybe roads or agric and rail. So we understand how these things are interconnected. So I mean, and this is some kind of issue that is localized. So if you consider investments, you see, in farming or fresh food production, these are things that would they will be helpful for you. You know, so I hope that I've been able to shed a bit of light on how best these things are interconnected.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So I think I mean, amazing, insightful session. Even I've learned a lot at the moment, you know, emphasis on the things to look out for when I want to get a place, you know, when I want to, when I just want to have more idea on why this infrastructure has been put in place, this building, this estate, you know, just having a second eye and knowing that I want value for myself and knowing what it means to get value. Also, just like Taiwo has said, understanding that work is being done by the government, you know, because it's easy for people to be like, they didn't do this, yeah, they didn't do that, but there's a lot of work going on, and it's not just snap your finger and it works. You know, a lot of policies are put in place, practices are put in place, a lot of considerations. That's one thing I've learned today. Like, it's not just to sit down and implement, a lot of decision making, planning put in place. So we've had this been very eye-opening. Thank you to Sojiben, to Jamila, and to Taiwo. We have some questions here. So I'll just assign the questions based on the questions that have been asked, if that's okay, because it wasn't assigned to anybody. There's a question here that I will push to Jamila. Please, in quick, 1 minute, let's see how we can answer that. So it's a long write-up, but from what I can see here, are there, you know, matrices or indices to be used that can be used to factor this infrastructure development on property value? I don't know if that's understood. Okay, so I'll let Jamila take that first. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very simple. And Taiwo spoke about it. Really, truly get a qualified quantity surveyor to be able to do this for you, because every input to a project can be quantified. But again, that also depends on what it is that you're doing. So in construction, you can never say there's a particular factor when it comes to contribution to a ballpark, you know, sum. You have to be able to quantify what you are putting in, quantify how many people are using it, and then you can spread it, you know, across. But again, a qualified quantity surveyor will do that for you. Thank you. What they said, 1 minute.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for complying. Appreciate it. So next question I will direct to Taiwo. So this question just says, it was directed to Jamila, but just so that we even it out. How do we achieve an effective community planning where lands are owned by individuals? So I think, Taiwo, this is something you can shed more light on. How do we achieve an effective community planning where lands are owned by individuals?
I think first, the legal framework for this piece of land has to be in place. The legal framework for this piece of land has to be in place. A legal officer, a lawyer has to first be in place so that you see all of the papers are tidy, right? Once the papers are tidy, you are sure that you are not doing what you're not supposed to be doing. You are sure that you have the right details. You are sure that you are speaking to the right people, right? Then you approach your designers, right, to carry out a proper infrastructure development or design, right? Once these are being done by the right people, infrastructure is designed by people, right? If you have a proper design in place, I think you're home safe and dry.
Thank you. Another within 1 minute. I'm very proud. Thank you so much. The last question is for Sojiben. As much as I don't think I understand, but I'm hoping that based on knowledge, you would understand what this person is trying to ask. It says, should the basic things that need to be put in place actually have effect on the value of a real estate? Or this is just obtainable in this part of the world? I don't know if that's clear.
Yeah, so the basic thing that needs to be put in place will surely affect the value of the property, actually. If, like Jamila said, if you want to rent a facility and you realize that the tap is not in proper position or the water is not running, which is the things I need to put in place, it will affect the decision of the buyers. And then things like road as well. If you have a property in a location where assessing it is not a good one, it will affect people going to that place, and definitely it will reduce the value of that property. You get, if you are in a place where schools are hospitals, basic amenities are far away from where you want to sell the property, the value of the property will reduce. It won't be as much as. So if you see people selling property on the island, actually around that Shogutedo, they use Dangote Refinery to sell it. You get, so it's close to it's 30 minutes, 10 minutes away from Dangote Refinery and other things. The new airport, then a few minutes to the new. They always use landmarks. You get. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope all the questions have been answered. I believe they have. Okay, so contribution.
I just want to add, yes, I also want to add something quickly, right? I think that question was talking about basic amenities, basic like access to road, access to. I think the guys Aroyehun Abiodun is trying to ask if these things should actually have a effective value. That means that what I believe he's trying to ask is that these things should be taken for granted to be there anyway. So why do we have to now be charged for it? So I don't know if that is what Ariel was trying to talk about. Well, I mean, if that is it, Taiwo asks that we should give the government some breathing space to be able to get to those locations. So as a people, we have to also ensure that our advocacy to get our representatives or whoever it is that is in charge of that space to come in and give us the basic development that we require in those communities. I know that in the United States, houses around schools are much more expensive than houses that are further away from school, because people take these things as convenience. So that they are being made to pay extra. And in fact, there's additional levy that has to be paid for houses that houses around schools have to pay for, because there's a whole lot of safety concerns, when it comes to the lives of the people, especially the children that frequent that location. So yes, I believe that I think that was what Maria was trying to ask, and I don't know if Taiwo, who seems to have just disappeared, was also going to say something, regarding that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Jamila, for throwing more light on that. While we probably hope that Taiwo comes back before I hope Soji Ben would be able to. Okay, it's back. So Taiwo, you're going to add one or two things to this conversation. You still want to share? Taiwo, are you there? Okay, I don't think Taiwo can hear me.
I was going to say brief. I was going to say if we take the example of Lagos. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, so I think there's a thing with the network, so it's lagging behind.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Not
my internet is unstable.
Okay, I think it's stable now. Do you want to please go ahead? Okay, we still have the internet issue. Okay, no problem. So I think at this point, I would like to hand over to Soji Ben, who will be wrapping up this session for us and also giving the closing remark. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this has been educative and insightful. And yeah, looking forward to the next edition. Over to you, Soji Ben. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Motunde. Thank you, Jamila. Thank you, Taiwo. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I believe we'll be able to learn one or two things. The major thing is just for us to spread the knowledge of infrastructure, the necessity of infrastructure to developers, to investors, and then not to only expect it to be around our residential or commercial facilities, but to also be able to invest into it as to be able to help government to achieve these things. Government it has a responsibility to provide infrastructure, but not all you get. So, and even the major infrastructure that they are supposed to provide for us, most time they don't have the capacity to do that. So they rely on private organizations and individuals to come together with them through PPP and work with them and execute, produce these facilities or this infrastructure for everybody's good. And trust me, is there a really bit, okay, am I government? Why should I go into infrastructure development? It's a big one. Yeah, there's a lot of profit in it for you. You get, especially if it's toll roads, other infrastructure, which is telco, water, you get rail. The government is doing a lot of rail projects. You can plug into any one of it. We have asset management companies that are rolling out infrastructure funds. You can plug into any one of them and you can get a lot of return. Even though the return is only for a long time, but for a long term, you get, but it's stable and it's real. You get, so at the point there is real, actually, just like real estate. You can venture into that. That is what I would advise. And then the product of infrastructures, which are what Jamila was mentioning about, talking about then, about sockets, switches, you can go into the investment of that. So it's still part of the alternative investment. You can it's not only when you invest in houses or malls that you are investing in real estate. You can go into the product of real estate itself, you get, which will enable better production for our developers and for us as well that we are living in this space. We have webinars monthly and more will be shared across board on socials and sending us emails. I believe this is recorded. We will be getting the copies of the recording so we can play it all over and over, or we can check our YouTube channel to watch it all over. You get, so in case you miss anything. Thank you very much. Thank you, Motunde, moderator. Thank you, Jamila. Thank you, Taiwo. And thank you, everyone. Yeah, I really appreciate everyone coming on as usual. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. On behalf of myself and my boss, Taiwo. Yes, thank you. Thank you very
back
much.
now. And that was everybody's boss. Yeah, that was everybody's boss. Yeah.
Thank you, Motunde. Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity. Unfortunately, my internet got me shut. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.